Hi everyone, I'm Chris Chung. We're here at Autodesk University in Las Vegas, and today we have the opportunity to talk with three of the contributing artists of the AU Mobile Art Gallery, featuring 10 artists from around the world demonstrating artwork created purely on iPhone and iPad. Today we have Matt Connors, a graphic artist. We have Benjamin Rabe from Germany, who's a freelance web designer. And last but not least, we have David Newman, an artist who actually is doing a lot of interesting work in Silicon Valley. So today we're going to actually focus and talk about a little bit about where you guys have come from, the work you do, and I'm really curious also to talk about what you guys think about this show and learn a little bit more about your thoughts about your experiences over the last few days. So let's actually start with you, Matt.
Okay.
So what sort of things have brought you to where you are, both professionally and creatively?
Well, I started out doing art, and basically I was an undergrad in drawing and painting, but I came from an engineering background. So I started working with 3D tools and things of that nature. And then as I started doing more and more art, it became more about the 2D world and Photoshop. And I got into retouching, and that led me along a path into the print world. But it's interesting that things always come back full circle. And all of what I learned in terms of engineering and starting to do 3D really fed into the work that I'm doing now, which is in that same realm, but also for print. And I'm doing more work with animation and things of that nature. But you know, when I first started working with tools like Sketchbook on the desktop, I didn't imagine that you could do that in an environment like a mobile,
it's pretty crazy.
A mobile device. So that was definitely a great thing to have happen. It really kind of changed my workflow.
There's something interesting, too, about your story with print and the curator of the show that we have here, Susan Murtaugh.
Right.
What's the backstory there?
Well, Susan is a great supporter of a lot of other artists and mobile artists, and she kind of keeps people moving in the sense that she does great posts of her work, and she comments on what people are doing. And we first met on Flickr, as did many other folks who are doing finger painting. And Susan was just very inspiring to just see the work that she was doing, and it was just a great experience going back and forth and finding out how she was using the tool, and actually how she was using Sketchbook Mobile. And that's my first conversations with her were how to use the tool, how to get the most out of it, and what we really enjoyed doing both on the mobile version and the desktop version of Sketchbook.
And you discovered that you guys had actually a few degrees of separation too, no?
Yeah, it turns out that she had worked with a lot of the same folks that I have worked with, because my company is based out of Wisconsin, Quad Graphics, and she'd worked a lot with Quad Graphics folks, and it was just funny to find that out. You know, she does live in Wisconsin, so that was kind of a neat experience to see that a lot of the people we know are
It's amazing.
Yeah, both
small
in the
world.
industry. Yes, it is a very small world.
Benjamin, tell us a little about yourself, especially the fact that my first experience with you was as an artist, and then I discovered you actually were working on web.
Yeah, that's true. I'm actually, my path is quite different to Matt's, I guess. I used to paint a lot when I was a kid, and I painted my first comic when I was 12. I still have it, by the way. It's a superhero story.
We have to see that sometime.
Yeah, I'll bring it. I was when I finished school, I was kind of sure I wanted to become a comic artist, actually. But as things turned out, you know, you go to a graphic school and you turn to be a designer in the end. And I also had this knack for technical stuff. I had a computer when I was 12, first time. It was the Atari 600 XL.
Excellent machine. Which
was great, and I started programming assembler and Pascal and all this stuff. So I was always kind of pulled toward the technical aspect of the world. And with the internet emerging in late 90s, yeah, I got into web design. And the sad thing is, even though I kind of grabbed this creative job, I never painted again. So it was only like 2 years ago when I found this little art studio in my pocket. But this force to paint kind of got unleashed again. I was like going from 0 paintings for like 15 years to like 2 paintings a day.
And there's something interesting about this too, Benjamin, because you actually have taken it a little bit farther. You work with a group and you've formed an organization around mobile art, haven't you?
That's true, yeah. Actually, one what we did is we formed that group, and that group forming happened when I was first in my first visit to New York, which was in March this year. And that was just, I met with 3 or 4 other people I knew from the Flickr group. We met at the Neue Galerie Cafe, and we just had one afternoon. So we just spent some time. It was a brilliant afternoon. We just kind of clicked, and we started exchanging our iDevices and painting and doodling and stuff. So a month later, we just exchanged emails, and we said we should do it again, just with some more people. The whole thing turned out to be the first mobile art conference in New York this year, which was in October.
An incredible event.
Yeah, and you guys sponsored that. It was like totally great event. And in order to do that, we had to form this organization called IAMNA, International Association of Mobile Digital Artists. And yeah, the first thing we did was doing this conference, actually. And well, now we're looking forward to the next steps.
Excellent. David, you, before we get to the interesting things that are kind of happening in your life now, you have a pretty diverse background. Can you share a little bit?
Well, I started out really doing painting and drawing at UC Davis, influenced by some of the legendary artists at UC Davis, including Wayne Thiebaud, and influenced by Bill Wiley and Robert Arneson. And from there I went to UC Berkeley and studied with Joan Brown, a really fine painter. And I drew from life, painting people everywhere that I went. I became a courtroom artist, freelance courtroom artist, doing work for United Press and for local papers covering trials in the San Francisco Bay Area, including the trial of Dan White.
That's incredible.
The Harvey Milk and Moscone killings trial.
Wow.
And Huey Newton and other very famous trials. And from there I got involved with working with computer graphics in 1982, joining Via Video, the picture processing company, long before computer graphics really became big. And during that time I was always working on paper as well as working with the computer, drawing people when I lived in New York and drawing people from life, even leading up to when I started to paint people at hackathons and local events, documenting the innovators of Silicon Valley.
You definitely seem to have a strong connection or bond with drawing people. I mean, if you haven't seen David's work, you essentially observe and then capture these people and their spirits. Can you compare to the work that you do now with the work that you actually had to do in that completely different context of the courtroom? Is it the same sort of thing?
In many cases it is the same. What I'm doing is I'm observing, I'm looking at the form, the light, the angles, the really unrepeatable aspects of the moment. And I bring it in, I process it, and it comes out of my hand onto the paper or onto the iPad. And it's very exciting, and it's very addictive too. I highly recommend doing it, observing directly and not painting from what we think a person looks like and not painting our idea of what a person looks like, but actually looking at the reflections on their faces and looking at how the hair falls and looking at the angle of how they're standing or sitting. It is exhilarating to work from life.
You shared with me a little bit earlier your Facebook fan page, some of the YouTube work that you're creating. And this is something that we're going to ask all of the panel. But I've already heard so much about how the web, yes, technology in general, but the web, how you guys are using that. Can you talk a little bit about how this social network, for lack of a better term, how that's affected you in addition to your art?
Well, I need to look no further than how I was invited to be here from Susan Murtaugh, who saw my work on Flickr, and she started commenting. And I had no idea who she was. She was saying very nice and generous things. And I liked her work as I clicked through to see it. And I found that not only through Susan's generous invitation, but also through having other people see my work and comment on it. I can see their work, and it creates a really wonderful community. It's inspirational to see other people's work and to learn from it.
How do you feel about that, Benjamin? I mean, the reality is your entire organization was formed on Flickr, basically. So can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the web is essential because, like I said, I never really painted anything before. I never showed stuff. So showing things online is like totally natural to me. I wouldn't. And also, all my stuff is under a certain, actually, like the lowest CC license, because I want people to grab it. I want people to mesh with it. I want them to play with it.
That's right. The Creative Commons license.
The Creative Commons license, and that's actually